times in my life I've seen things.
I've been tortured with voodoo. Been shot 9 times, including once by your father.
Sorry!
But I've been looking for this all my life.
We interrupt this program to bring you...
Alright everybody, my name is Kevin from The Real Movie Guys, and you are watching The Real Review, the series where we review and discuss all your favorite movies. On today's episode, I'm going to be taking a look at Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Archaeologist Indiana Jones races against time to retrieve a legendary artifact that can change the course of history. Okay guys, first off, what I want to tell you about is this movie, regardless of how I feel about it, and I'm going to get into it, of course, it is kind of special to me. I actually took my 80-some-odd-year-old grandma to go see this film because she's a huge Harrison Ford fan. So if that means anything to anyone, like, there are people out there that really love Indiana Jones, no matter how old they are. She might be more of a Harrison Ford fan, but that's a whole other conversation for another time. But getting into this movie, what I can tell you is, I don't think it's what most people are expecting, and I think that's where a lot of the negativity is going to come off for this movie. What I can say is, if you're looking for something that's better than Crystal Skull, I do think it's better than that, and I did see the arguments going back and forth. Is Crystal Skull better? Does it feel more like Indiana Jones? Yeah, in some ways, maybe like the serialization ways and some of the spirit and whatnot, I can understand that. But for the most part, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, I think it's trying to tell another kind of story. This movie does start off very, like, old school Indiana Jones, not like he's on an adventure. We do see some pretty atrocious de-aging effects at the beginning of the movie, where you have an old Indiana Jones voice coming out of a young Indiana Jones face. That's kind of like looking off into the distance, kind of crazy like that. And I don't know how much all that works, you know, but the spirit's there, and I definitely feel like the old school spirit that director James Mangold's going for, because keep in mind, guys, this is a really tough task. No matter what movie they were going to make, if you ask me, the original 3 Indiana Jones movies are near perfect movies, and for anyone to kind of step into those shoes to make something, I don't think it's going to be that. And for the director being tasked with what he's given to make like a closure to the saga of Indiana Jones, it's a tough task, but I think in the beginning of this movie, he does capture that, and I think a lot of fans will be happy with that. We get to see the incredible Mads Mikkelsen come in as the villain here, filing the Dial of Destiny, kind of setting up the plot for the rest of the movie. After the first 30 or almost 40 minutes of the movie, it feels like a while, we jump into present-day Indiana Jones, and I think this is where people are going to be upset. Indy's not the wisecracking, sarcastic guy we've come to used to knowing in the original Indiana Jones series. At this point, he's very down on his luck, leaving his wife, who's from the past movies and everything like that, Marion. He's upset. You find out what happens to Shia LaBeouf, kind of adds more to that story, which in a way is clever to write him off, which I won't get into too much of that because it's spoilers, but this isn't the Indy adventure I think people wanted. This is more about Indiana Jones coming to terms with where he is in his life and what he needs to do with the rest of it. And again, I don't know if that's what people really wanted, but I will say, as someone who enjoys Indiana Jones, I do feel like this movie is a proper send-off in some form of spirit. It is sloppily done along the way, don't get me wrong, but by the time we get to the end of the movie and it wraps up, it feels like a good send-off. I felt like it really did good tribute to the character when it's all said and done, but the execution leaves a little bit to be desired. So what exactly works here? Harrison Ford, of course, steals the show. He's 80-some-odd-year-old, guys. I don't know how he still does it, but he still has the charm of Indiana Jones, even when they kind of try to write some of it away. You can equate his performance in this to a lot of what we've seen with Star Wars, where they kind of brought back Han Solo and did the same thing. It's not great at times, it feels like he's just kind of like sleepwalking through some of it, but I think this character, maybe even a little more than Han Solo, really does resonate more with Harrison Ford, and I do think he did try his best with the material that was given, and for the most part, I think the character works, and Indy is still Indy, even if he's a little bit in a darker place. People are definitely going to be upset and kind of tossed with Helena, who plays Indy's granddaughter, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I think she did an okay job. I don't know if she's the standout character that I really wanted, but her chemistry with Harrison Ford is pretty decent for the most part of the movie, even if there are some like writing snafus along the way that kind of, don't leave credence to the belief of their relationship a little bit. The one big character I did have issue with, there's a character played by Ethan Isidore Teddy, who's kind of like Helena's sidekick throughout the movie. We didn't need that at all, guys. You could tell this was one of those member berries, as South Park used to put it, where, oh, remember the young sidekick, like Short Round, that would be there on the adventure. We didn't need that character. I don't know why he was really there. Maybe for the kids to try and resonate, and maybe that's something that if you take a look at this movie, James Mangold does wrong. The times where he tries to add his own spin to the story and make this more of a unique tale, I think this movie works a lot better. But when he tries to copy what's been done in the past, and that's where he tries to pay tribute more to some of the past Indiana Jones, plots, beats. Like I said, the example of the young character, the villain always catching up at just the right time. Maybe if he did something a little bit more original and within his own style there, because James Mangold is a very eclectic director. He's done a lot of different kind of movies, so Indiana Jones could have had some multiple feelings to it, but I don't know. I think those are the more uninteresting parts of the movie, honestly, where it kind of sticks to the original Indiana Jones story. I do think Mads Mikkelsen is, of course, the perfect villain. If you've seen him in Hannibal or any of his other many appearances, he's always the bad guy, and he's always fantastic for the most part. And he does a great job here, even if the material he's given is not that great. Antonio Banderas actually also made an appearance in this movie. I was not expecting, as a close friend of Indiana Jones we never met, and helps him along his adventure. And there are characters that return. You have John Rhys Davis returns as Sala in the movie, and it's fun to see him. Marion, played by Karen Allen, of course, makes a return. Again, all these characters we remember do make their appearance. It's just, it doesn't feel like Indiana Jones. And again, I think that is the main complaint most people are going to have with this movie. I would say the biggest thing I kind of took away from this is a lot of the action scenes, while they are intriguing. Like, there's a really cool chase scene that happens in the middle of a city where Indy and Helena they're running from like her ex-lover or ex-fiance, and it's a cool scene, and I think it's like well shot, and there's nothing wrong with the action. It's just missing something, and I'm not sure exactly what that is. It's almost like a spirit, or something's toned down. There is just a little bit of something missing, and maybe that is like where people will be divided with this movie, because Indiana Jones is meant to have this like spark and flair of adventure, and the story that they're telling just really isn't about that. And nothing can be said more towards when you get to the ending of this movie, which again, people are going to be very divisive, because there's a choice where I thought they were going to go one way with kind of Indy's fate, and then the movie just cuts to black and turns to something totally different. I've heard different things. I won't go into spoilers, because I know you people do probably want to watch this movie, and I do recommend overall watching it if you're a fan of Indiana Jones. Again, it feels like they made a decision and then they didn't want to stick with it, or maybe there was some kind of studio interference. I don't know. I think there was something more afoot with this movie than meets the eye originally. But Indiana Jones, otherwise, the music's fantastic. John Williams returns to do the score, which, again, fantastic. It's John Williams. I don't know really more to tell you there. But this movie, I don't know. I tried to sit down a while before I kind of sat in to kind of give you this little, talk and review about this film. The problem is I don't even know really how I feel about it myself. I don't think I hated it. I don't know how much I loved it, but I think it was worth a watch. And again, I think this is maybe more credence to the fact that sometimes our hero story doesn't need to continue. Again, those first 3 Indiana Jones movies are by far none near perfect movies, and just adding to that story, even Crystal Skull, that really has no reason to exist necessarily. I would kind of tack this along here, but again, it's not a poorly made movie in any way, shape, or form. It's a little long, but I say that about every movie we talk about on this channel, so I don't think that's anything new. But I think there is a place for James Mangold's story of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The only problem is I don't know if it really warrants its existence, especially with all the issues that went on behind the scenes trying to make this movie, the inflated budget. It's just a story I didn't know we needed, and I don't think the fans are really going to be that receptive to, because, to be honest with you, I just kind of had an okay time. So, that being said, let's put a number on this one. I'm going to give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny a 6.5 out of 10.
And with this, I will correct them all. You stole it. Then you stole it.
And then I stole it. It's called capitalism.
again, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. I don't think it's worse than Crystal Skull by any means. I still think that takes the cake for being the worst in the franchise. There's some decent action scenes if you're just looking for a fun, quick nostalgia trip about Indiana Jones. I think there's something to be had there. Just keep in mind, it's not that super fun, rambunctious action story that you're looking for. This is more of a dark, brooding Indiana Jones coming to terms with his place and his age in life, and if you're okay with that, I think you'll have a good time. If not, this might be an adventure you want to skip. So, that all being said, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of The Real Review. My name's Kevin from The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. I'll catch you next time. If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.